Hooray! Hello, everyone. Jamie Johnson here. I'm actually on Instagram as well. I'm so excited at Worthy Jamie over there. I tried to do this the last time when I was trying to do both places at once, and I couldn't get Instagram to work. So I'm so excited that I'm also on Instagram tonight. So I'm in two places at once. Whoever said you couldn't do that does not understand technology in the modern age. You can be two places at once. And technically, I guess I'm in a lot of places at once. Since you're watching with me tonight, hey, oh gosh, Haynes here, Kristen, hey you guys, so fun to see you. And Nina over on Facebook, awesome. Yay, this feels so great when people are actually tuning in, so I appreciate it. I've been doing these Worthy Wednesday Facebook Lives for some time now, like every other week, and I was like, oh, I'm going to finally try to experiment with going live in both places because I love Instagram and I feel like I have a fun tribe over here, but I've never gone live over on Instagram. So I was like, I'm going to try to do both and see if I can get some different people over there. So thanks for being with me tonight. I take these times every couple of weeks to just check in, answer some questions from folks that have sent stuff in, or I just talk about a topic. And then sometimes I have fun and I bring a former client on, an author, to talk about book marketing and launching a book and building a brand and platform. And then sometimes I just talk about fun topics for a few minutes too. I just try to be informative and give people some good information. And so tonight I thought I would talk about just for a few minutes. And so first of all, let me just say, if at any point in when I'm talking tonight, I would love for you, if you have some questions, throw them up on Instagram or on Facebook here, and I'd be happy to answer them while I'm here with you. So feel free. But I tonight wanted to talk a little bit about the long game. I work with a lot of authors, and I understand the temptation, and not just authors, honestly. Like, we're more and more kind of working maybe with authors that have had a book, but we're starting in working with them, whether it's way in advance of the book being published or they're in between books. So they're kind of after a first book, working toward a second one. And the temptation a lot of times is to want that silver bullet. Gosh, doesn't that apply to so many things in life? I know for me, I mean, so many areas of your life, you just want the easy fix. You don't want to do the hard work. And it certainly applies to building a platform, building a brand as well. And I see the temptation so often because there are quote unquote easy fixes out there. There are ways that you can churn a bunch of followers on Facebook or on Instagram or on social in general. There are ways that you can buy your way onto a New York Times bestseller list if you so desire. And I'm not saying that any of that is necessarily wrong. I know that people have their reasons for wanting to do those things, and some of them are very, very valid. And I get it. I think what I like to think, though, and what I see as a more beneficial approach is the harder approach, is the approach that takes a lot longer time. But I feel it serves people a lot better in the long run to have a long game in mind, to think about building their platform now and working on that steadily for truly years. Not that you have to start years before you're launching a book, but I think if you think, how can I be every single day doing something to give to my community, to offer great value in order to building my thought leadership, building my credibility. And particularly, I feel the value really lies in an email list. And so I think if you can work to think about how you can be getting people on your email list regularly, that's really where the gold is. And the reason why, some people have this philosophy, they think that the email is dead, and it's just so not true. I can tell you from working in marketing day in and day out that email is very much alive. And if you're using it properly and smart ways to communicate to your audience. People are taking action. Things are getting sold. Products, courses, anything that you have to offer is getting sold from email. So I think the value of building your email list is something that you own, is more beneficial than even just doing like campaigns and things like that, and really focusing only on growing your social media platform, for example. So while it's great to be on social and to be doing what you can do to engage your audiences there and to grow your likes and grow your followers, I really see social as a means to an end. And so thinking of social media as one piece of the overall puzzle of your strategy for growing your brand and your business, and looking at using social as kind of the party, if you could compare it to maybe like getting to know people. You meet someone at a cocktail party or at a party, and that's kind of the social media. And then you want to maybe invite them over to your house. You get them to your website. And then you want them to have dinner with you. I could go on and on with the metaphor, right? But how to get them on your mailing list so that then you can continue to engage with them and communicate with them. So it's one thing, and I've talked to some authors about this as well. They do the great work of building their mailing list and getting people on a mailing list, and then they don't do anything with them. So these people subscribe on their website to join a newsletter or that kind of thing, or some download that they've put out there, like a PDF of some kind that they do a little campaign for, put it out there. People give you their email address to get it, and then nothing else. And so they don't get put into any kind of nurture sequence, which would mean like a series of emails, for example, like 3 or 4 emails that you could write that would keep those people engaged, get them to know more about you and your offerings and who you are and your thought processes and all of that over the course of a couple of weeks. And then, hopefully you do have a regular newsletter that you're sending out every month, ideally. The rhythm doesn't really matter. It's whatever you can stick to and be consistent with, that your audience gets to know and they understand when they're signing up, like, hey, this is what I'm going to get. And you just sticking to it because they've raised their hand. They've said, I want this. And so you should give it to them. And it's a great way. Again, you don't have to do it in a sleazy, slimy way. Feel like you're selling something every single time you're emailing them. It really is. Think about how you can be giving good content, serving your community. And all that to say, this stuff takes time. It takes time. It does. But like I said, I have seen time and time again, the folks that we've worked with that have understood this community building component and the value of really working on building their platform. The beautiful thing about that is that platform, that list, your tribe sticks with you for the long term, unless you take some like crazy sharp turn. To where you like change content, you're like not talking at all about what you used to talk about, like that, understandably, you may lose some audience there. But if you're the type of author that's generally writing about happiness or business leadership or whatever, and it takes different forms, but that's your steady thread, then that community that you work to build up over time sticks with you for whatever it is you have to offer. And that's the beautiful thing, not starting over every single time you have a new offering or new book or new course or whatever the case may be to launch into the world. And so that's the beauty of taking the long road, hanging in there for the long term. And the beautiful thing too is you can really use that community that you're building to get great feedback from people even before you launch something. So you may be thinking about creating some new offering for them. May not be a book, it may be some little mini course or some video series or having a masterclass about something online or whatever the case may be. And when you have built that, they that community, they are a great sounding board to ask them what they want. And then you don't have to do any guessing. It's just they tell you what they want. And so you say, hey, I'm thinking about creating a couple of different things, this or this. What do you guys think? And literally email them, put it on social media, get their feedback, and you will find some really solid answers to where you're not having to just kind of pull ideas out of thin air necessarily. You can really rely upon that community that you've built to give them what they actually want. So whereas the opposite approach of the silver bullet, while it might get you somewhere right out of the gate, you might throw a bunch of money at something and, like I said, churn up. So I'm going to tell you a funny example of a client that we inherited. This was a couple of years ago now, who had done some work on her own to build up her social media following because her publisher, in the process of looking for, when she was shopping her book around and trying to get an agent and get a book interested in her manuscript, she knew that they were going to look at her platform and that they were going to want to see how many followers she had on social media. So these things are real. These are things that publishers look at. And they don't necessarily scratch below the surface much. So she had spent some amount of money, I have no idea how much, to hire some firm, I don't know who, to churn up a bunch of likes on her Facebook page. And so it looked, again, at face value, you go and you're like, oh, wow, that's impressive. She's got thousands of people that like her page, and that's great. And so when we took her on as a client and we started helping her on the social media side, we started digging in a little bit, and we realized once we inherited her account and we were going in there and analyzing her audience, and that she had the majority of her audience were, and so she had her, let me just tell you who her audience actually is. So her audience from her message are entrepreneurial women that speak English, that are like primarily American, but could be international, but definitely English speaking. So when we went in to look at her audience, we noticed that the majority of the people that were liking her were Turkish men that did not speak English. So not even close. And she didn't even realize this. That was what was so crazy, was that she just saw the numbers going up and up and thought, great, this is working. And didn't realize that it was not her audience. And so when we were working to drive engagement on her page, to get more people to like the content that was being posted, of course, understandably, it was super hard and we weren't getting great results because so many of the people that were seeing it, like 3 to 6% of those people in any way because of the algorithms see it. But gosh, it was even worse because they just weren't resonating at all with her content because they weren't her people. So it made the work even harder for us when we were actually trying to do the work of, really trying to use that audience that had been built there to do something for her. And so I'll say that even, it's like, I think it's great to not settle or not be tempted by that silver bullet of just like turning up a bunch of likes for vanity's sake, or for like social proof sake, for some publisher that's looking at something, because it's really false. And it's not going to serve you anyway if the people that are liking your page and aren't the people that are going to buy your book long term anyway. So do the harder work of making sure that you're offering great content to the people, to the audiences that really genuinely would be interested in it. And you may not see as fast traction, but you're going to have more quality engagement. You're going to get people that actually like your content that will buy your stuff. And that is worth so, so much more in the long run. So that's my soapbox about all that. Hey, I'm seeing several other people have joined. Oh, awesome. Let's see, Carly, Lori, Compaq is here. That's awesome, fun. Old friends, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook tonight. I tried to do both, so this is kind of fun. I'm trying to do a good job of like looking back and forth, so if that looks weird, that's why. I'm straddling 2 platforms tonight. So So yeah, does anyone have any questions they want to ask while I'm here? I'll take a couple more minutes, and then otherwise I'll let you go. And while I wait on that, I don't know how many of you are Handmaid's Tale fans. You guys, I knew that I had this Facebook Live tonight, and that the finale for season 2 came out today, and so I watched it first thing this morning because I knew I would be too tired probably after this tonight, or like sometimes at night I get so jazzed up by it. But y'all, it's so good. So if you're not here, I don't blame you. Or if you want to log off and go watch that if you're a fan, it's a good one. But anyway, so yeah, any questions, anything I can help answer for y'all tonight? I would love to. And if not, no biggie. I guess. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure how the live is going to work on Instagram after this. I know on Facebook, obviously, I will have the replay here so you guys can catch it. And if there are any questions that you want to ask from the replay, that's great. I'll check on those comments. And then on Instagram, I don't know if it lives here in perpetuity. Oh, Comic says, I haven't changed since high school. That's very sweet of you to say. Don't know that I feel like I'm such a different person from high school, but old friend from high school is so fun. Gosh, that's the beauty of social media, isn't it? That we can still stay connected with people. So cool. Were you at the reunion? I'm trying to remember. Our 20-year reunion was in 2 years ago. And I can't remember if you were there. You may have been. I was at some of the events, but not all of them. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and I still get down there. My mom still lives there. I'm in Atlanta now, but my mom still lives down there, so we get down there every so often to visit family. You were there, yes, but not long. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I don't remember if I saw you there. But anyway, well, thank you all for being here tonight. Like I said, I do this every couple of weeks. I'll try to get in on Instagram now that it worked this go round, because this was fun. I had some fun, different people here than I do on Facebook. So that's great to do both. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and log off. You guys have a great night, and I will catch you next time. Keep doing your awesome, worthy work in the world.